Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So sorry this video is going up a little bit later than usual. I'm still getting it up on a Monday, so happy with that. But today is November 1st, which means yesterday was Halloween, aka my favorite day of the year, and I did throw a large spooktacular Halloween party yesterday, and I am exhausted and maybe a little hungover, so this video did not go quite when I wanted it to, but that's okay because I'm still going to be doing my monthly wrap-up. October 2021 was a weird month for books. I really wanted to read very like Halloween-y, festive, harvesty kind of novels this month, and I really didn't. I kind of read a handful of very heavy books and then decided I wanted kind of more palate cleansers in my my month, and it just got weird. And then I picked up some new releases that I wasn't a fan of, and October just ended up being all over the place. Long story short though, I read many books that I did not love. And when that happens, it tends to take me way longer to get through books. So I was only able to make it through 5 stories this month, but I do have 1 5-star read, so there's the benefit to that. But yeah, let's dive through them. So first up, I did read Slewfoot, A Tale of Bewitchery by Brom. This was sent to me to review by Tor Nightfire. Thank you so much, Tor, for that. That was awesome. This book is beautiful, and I do have a full in-depth review on my channel that I will link up above about my full thoughts on this novel. This was a 3-star read from me. I really wanted this book to be a hell of a lot more than it was. I'll read the inside cover for you guys. So, Connecticut, 1666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him father, slayer, protector. The colonists call him Slewfoot, demon, devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. Together they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan, one that threatens to destroy the entire village, leaving nothing but ashes and bloodshed in its wake. If it is a devil you seek, then it is a devil you shall have. This terrifying tale of bewitchery features more than 24 of Brom's haunting paintings, fully immersing readers in its wild and unforgiving world. So as I said in my full-length review, this is a beautiful book. Visually, like, the actual paintings that Brom did for this are just next level stunning. I just wish that the story carried itself a little bit better. I did really enjoy our 2 main characters, Abatha and Samson. I thought they were very likable, relatable characters, just put into a plot that I felt wasn't balanced enough for them. We once again get to see the hypocrisy of the Puritans, the how much men in that society would just disparage against any kind of woman who challenged them. And it just felt so, there were just so many male characters that just hated women in this book that it just became so difficult to read. And there's definitely this very heavy feminist undertone in the novel, which I really appreciated. But just having to read about the atrocities that Abatha went through, along with several other women in this book, just made this such a downer for me. And it was just a story I feel like I've read a lot. You look at The Crucible or the TV show Salem, just Puritans attacking women for thinking she is a witch. You know, just over and over again, and the hysteria and the irrationality leading them to do these really cruel things. And because there is kind of this demon character in it, I really thought it was going to go more in the way of Robert Eggers' The Witch, which is really what I wanted in this novel. And it stayed more focused on the hysteria of the Puritans, and there was a cliche bad guy that I feel like I've seen in every Disney movie ever. So it was just a little bit of a slog to get through, and it did make me feel just kind of very sad on the inside, just constantly reading about these poor women, just always being basically walked all over no matter what they do or how they try to escape it. And it just didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy. Again, if you want to see more about my thoughts on this novel, I do have a full review on it, so I'm not going to go super into it. But after reading that, which I really did have to trudge to get through, there was definitely a huge pacing problem in that novel. But after I read that, I wanted to read something a little more lighthearted and fun. So I did finally get to The Stranger Behind You by Carol Goodman, which I received, I believe, in my July Unplugged box, and this blew me away. This was so good. I also have a full in-depth review on this on my channel. I'll read the back for you guys really quickly. Journalist Joan Lurie has written a scathing article exposing a notorious newspaper tycoon as a sexual predator. But the night it goes live, she is brutally attacked. Traumatized and suffering the effects of a concussion, she moves into a highly secure apartment building in Manhattan called the Refuge, which was at one time a Magdalen laundry. Joan should be safe here, so how can she explain the cryptic incidences that are occurring? Lillian Day is Joan's new 96-year-old neighbor at the Refuge. In 1941, Lillian witnessed a mysterious murder that sent her into hiding at the Magdalen laundry, and she hasn't come out since. As she relates her harrowing story to Joan sees striking similarities to her own past. Melissa Osgood, newly widowed and revengeful, has burning questions about her husband's recent death. When she discovers the suspicious paper trail that he left behind, she realizes how little she knew about her marriage, but it seems Joan Lurie might be the one who has the answers. As these three lives intersect, each woman must stay one step ahead of those who are desperate to make sure the truth is never uncovered. Again, I loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely devoured it. It's like a murder mystery meets like a 1930s crime story meets Gossip Girl, like meets like just a ghost story. This book was so freaking good, and it's kind of all over the place and very like kind of gothic in like tone, but not necessarily in execution. Very, very unique story. Definitely more of like a thriller with like some kind of supernatural elements thrown in. I absolutely adored this. This book was just absolutely incredibly unique. It was so much fun. It was so different than I was expecting. What drew me towards it initially was the description that it was similar to Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. I don't think it is really. I kind of can see like where maybe you would draw that line, but it is more of like a psychological thriller. But yeah, it was very eerie, it was fun, it was different, it was also very much like a palate cleanser. It wasn't as like brutal as like say like a Tana French story, but I felt like it was very similar kind of in like style. I really, really enjoyed this. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I don't want to give too much away about it because I think it's a good book to kind of know very little before going into and letting like the journey unfold. But this was a 5-star read for me, and I did just absolutely devour it. I adored this novel. Okay, so I also have a full review on my channel on this. This is the last book this month that I do have full reviews on. This was a 3-star read for me. This is Certain Dark Things from Silvia Moreno Garcia. This was like on my like most anticipated list of like 2021. I was really excited to read this. I thought Mexican Gothic was a very interesting release last year. It fits into this kind of like new wave of like Gothic lit that I see contemporary authors doing. So I was really interested to see Moreno Garcia's take on a like neo-noir vampire story. Unfortunately, this just didn't do it for me. I'll read the back real quick. Welcome to Mexico City, an oasis in a sea of vampires. Domingo, a lonely garbage collecting street kid, is just trying to survive its heavily policed streets when a jaded vampire on the run swoops into his life. Adol, the descendant of Aztec blood drinkers, is smart, beautiful, and dangerous. Domingo is mesmerized. Adol needs to quickly escape the city, far from the rival narco-vampire clan relentlessly pursuing her. Her plan doesn't include Domingo, but Adol finds herself warming up to the scrappy young man and his undeniable charm. As the trail of corpses stretches behind them, local cops and crime bosses start closing in. Vampires, humans, cops, and criminals collide in the dark streets of Mexico City. Do Adol and Domingo stand a chance of making it out alive, or will the city devour them all? The city is very cool, and the story, the setting's very cool, the world that they're in is very cool, but that's kind of where the coolness stops. This is a book about two unlikable characters maybe having some weird vampire human romance and like doing kind of the same thing and making the same mistakes over and over and over again for about 250 pages. It stars a very boring street kid and a very spoiled, just obnoxious, entitled, rude vampire. If you want to read a book that just throws all vampire lore out the window and like kind of makes fun of like traditional vampire lore, you can read this. I ranted about it so much in one of my recent videos that I really just don't even want to go even more into how disappointing this book was. But again, it was only like 240 pages and I spent way too long reading this. Like, this was a struggle to get through, and there was just so much about it that just didn't work for me, and almost no characters that I felt like attached to or wanted to root for or just even cared about in general. And sometimes that works, like if you're reading about like very evil characters, like there's something really cool about a very well done villain. They almost take on this like anti-hero persona where like you can understand their motives and where they're coming from, and they're just intriguing to read about. None of these characters had that. All of the good guys were unlikable for either being too boring, too timid, or too entitled, and then all of the bad guys were so one-dimensional that it was like, I mean, the bad guy is this like vampire Nick, which, vampire Nick, that alone is like an issue. But he's literally like this like generic cliche like frat boy jock kind of stereotype as the villain. You know, like I feel like every like 90s like teen movie had this guy as their villain. Now they just threw some vampire teeth on him and like sent him on his way. I don't know. This book was very disappointing. 3-star read for me. The world building was very, very well done in that book. Okay. I'm so excited to read this book. I was so excited to read this book. I went out to a bookstore the day it got released and I bought this. This was $20. This was $20 for this like novella. This book is so not worth $20. So this is Nothing But Black and Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. It is supposed to be a spin on Japanese folklore, like a contemporary horror spin on Japanese folklore. It got so much praise. That being said, the fact that N.K. Jemisin calls it brutally delicious on the cover should have told me I was not going to enjoy this book, because I do not like N.K. Jemisin's writing at all. I don't like a lot of her characters. I don't like the style that she writes in. But let me read the back of this book for you guys really, really quickly. I think this word is pronounced Heian. I could be wrong, but it says, a Heian-era mansion stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bride and its walls packed with the remains of the girl's sacrifice to keep her company. It's the perfect venue for a group of thrill-seeking friends brought back together to celebrate a wedding. A night of food, drinks, and games quickly spirals into a nightmare as secrets get dragged out and relationships are tested. But the house has secrets too. Lurking in the shadows is the ghost bride with a black smile and a hungry heart. And she gets lonely down there in the dirt. And then it has a quote from Paul Tremblay, who's an author I really like, that says, sharp, playful, and nasty as hell. And I just have a very, very hard time believing that these authors actually enjoyed this book, because for the life of me, I could not tell you what happened in this novel. This literally read like the emo kid in your creative writing class your freshman year of college wrote way too much of an idea for his first novel for the assignment. And it's interesting, and it's really like, ooh, that kid's so gonna go places one day. But this is definitely a first draft. Like, this book needs so much work, and it would benefit so much by like another 100 pages, because there is zero character development, there is zero plot, there is literally 2 scenes with the ghost in it. And the whole time I was kind of like, I don't understand what's happening. There were so many words in this book that I had to go to Google Translate for, and even Google Translate was like, I just don't know. I don't know. And, God, this book was infuriating. I think this book is about a group of people who go to a haunted house as ghost hunters for a wedding that for some reason all hate each other and decide to spend the entire time literally doing everything that they can to make the other people as miserable as they are. And a ghost maybe shows up. Maybe. There also might be some kitsune in there, and some other kind of like Japanese spirits. I'm not really sure if it was like hallucinations or not. I don't know. There might be a murder. This house might not even be haunted. Like, I do not know what happened. And there were so many frickin' sentences that just didn't make sense. It was just like adverbs and flowery language for the purpose of being like, I know how to use these words, that did absolutely nothing to add to this plot. Like, I literally could not tell you what the point of this book is. I could not tell you what the folklore that is being retold is. It was such an absolute mess, and I am so infuriated by this story. Like, it just absolutely, utterly, gut-wrenchingly infuriated by the fact that literally nothing happened. There isn't a single likable character. All of these characters just despise one another, and yet for some reason I'm supposed to believe that they're all there together to celebrate a wedding. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. This book literally would have had more sense if it was like MTV is putting like the people from the Jersey Shore together into a house because they've all hooked up with each other at one point, and like throwing ghosts at them to see how they react. Like, that plot would have been more believable than what I think Cassandra Caw wanted her plot to be. It was just so juvenile, and I'm so disappointed because I really thought it was going to be such a cool like story to take like the Japanese ghost, like Japanese horror folklore, put it into a novel, because Japanese horror is just so well done in film, and I was so excited to see it in a new novel that was getting such praise. And oh my god, this was so hard to read. But like, listen to this. This is Hill House for this century, is a quote from Stephen Graham Jones. I feel like that's an insult. Like, I feel like Shirley Jackson is insulted by that statement. T. Kingfisher calls it delicate and disgusting. I mean, disgusting is definitely right. I was so disgusted reading this book. It was so bad. Josh Mallerman says, Caw's got a sterling premise, enduring lore, and the fresh talent to voice it. I just can't believe that. I cannot believe that Josh Mallerman read this and thought that this was good. I'm so angry. This book was trash. The only reason it's getting a 2-star rating and not a 1-star rating is because I didn't DNF it. Had it been longer, I absolutely would have DNF'd it. And like, I can't even get started on the ending of the story, because like what the author implies to try and make this edgy ending is just so stupid and comes out of nowhere and serves absolutely no purpose. And I think this is the angriest I've been at a book in a very, very long time. So I'm gonna stop talking about it. Do not spend $20 on this book is the one thing I will say. I don't like to discourage people from not reading books, but like, I will discourage you guys from spending $20 to read this book. If you do want to read it, get it at a library, borrow it from a friend, but oh my goodness. Oh my, I feel so misled having this book hyped up. Anyhow, last book of the month. This is The Haunting of Lee Harker by Darcy Coates. I recently did an author spotlight on Darcy Coates, so if you are unfamiliar with her work, highly recommend checking that out. I go very in-depth into who she is as an author and her bibliography, and I love Darcy Coates. I love her style of like cozy horror. A lot of like her recent releases have been like really playing with a different style. She's usually best known for writing about like someone moving into like a haunted manor and like dealing with the ghosts and stuff, but this was definitely a different take. I'll read the back of this book for you. Lee Harker's quiet suburban home was her sanctuary for more than a decade, until things abruptly changed. Curtains open by themselves, radios turn off and on, and a dark figure looms in the shadows of her bedroom door at night, watching her, waiting for her to finally let down her guard enough to fall asleep. Pushed to her limits, but unwilling to abandon her home, Lee struggles to find answers, but each step forces her towards something more terrifying than she ever imagined. A poisonous shadow seeps from the locked door beneath the stairs. The handle rattles through the night, and fingernails scratch at the wood. her home harbors dangerous secrets, and now that Lee is trapped within its walls, she fears she may never escape. This is an interesting book. This is not my favorite thing that I've read by Darcy Coates. I do like what she tried to do here. This book is written... I don't even know how to talk about this book without giving it away. It definitely deviates from her standard style of writing. It is definitely the most unique thing I've read from her. I don't necessarily know if this book worked for me, which is why it's a 3-star, because I really liked the idea behind it. I just don't know if it was executed very, very well. But it is this quasi-murder mystery, quasi-ghost story. I don't necessarily think I like how Darcy Coates portrayed the rules of being a ghost in this story. I don't think I quite agree with it. It felt a little weird and kind of hard to follow. I do like that throughout the story you do get perspective from the ghosts. I thought that was a very, very unique take, even though I don't think it worked quite as well, because when you read the ghost perspective, to follow in the lore that Darcy Coates has set up, it gets a little murky and tricky to read because she's trying to be vague and ambiguous, and it just made the book a little bit more confusing. I also felt this book was a little bit too long. She could have chopped off about 50 pages and I still think I would have gotten the gist of the book. It just would have been more concise and put together. But I did enjoy this overall. Not my favorite thing that she has written, but it's definitely unique, and I'm very interested to see where Darcy Coates goes forwards as she starts to branch out more and more from just her traditional haunted home stories. She did that as well with her other release from 2021, which was The Whispering Dead. I really, really enjoyed that book, so I do love that she does have her set formula and she's very good at it, but she's trying new things out. This one didn't work for me as well as some of her others, but again, very, very unique take on ghosts. I really, really enjoyed unraveling the mystery. I thought I had predicted it and I wasn't quite right. And I liked that. I liked that it was definitely taking me somewhere. It tried to Riley Sager you. It tried really hard to lead you to think one thing and then pull you into something else. And she didn't quite stick the landing, but the attempt was there and I think it was a good attempt. So that's all that I'll say about that. But yes, October was a weird, weird, weird month for me, reading-wise. Hoping November's a lot better. I've definitely got big old stack of TBR books to get through for now and also for December. I'm gonna try and get through a lot of books. I'm one book away from hitting my reading challenge for the year, my reading goal on Goodreads or whatever it is, so almost there. So yes, Slewfoot, 3-star read. Stranger Behind You, 5 stars. Certain Dark Things, disappointing 3 stars. Nothing But Blackened Teeth, a very, very, very infuriating 2 stars. And then The Haunting of Lee Harker, 3 stars. That is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. It means a lot to me, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.